Welcome to another episode of Tales from Car Sales. Now, let me begin and tell you, these stories are all true, 100% true. I've worked in the car business for a little bit over 20 years, and they're insane. I know it's going to be hard to believe. I know a lot of this stuff is going to be far-fetched, but I believe that people should know really what goes on in this underworld. There's not that much information out there. At least a lot of people are not willing to talk about really what goes on because either they'll feel like nobody would really believe them, or they feel like it's just not worth sharing. But I think it is. I think a lot of people are in the car business and they're stuck in there, and they feel like they'll never be heard. They feel like their story, nobody cares. But being in the car business is not like any other job. And I know if you're a nurse, if you're an EMT, of course, your job is not like any other job. But the car business, I've always said, makes you age like dog years. Okay, so every year that you're in the car business, it's like living 7 years. Okay, because all the experiences that you encounter, all the different people, all the different characters and different attitudes and different personalities make you grow. You can get a kid out of high school, throw him in the car business, and within a year, he's going to have more experience than probably any kid that's in college. And I'm not saying that to put anybody in college down. It's just a fact. You deal with so many insane people. You deal with the world. The amount of people that would take for you to encounter in, a lifetime, you might encounter them in a year in the car business. Yeah, it's that insane. You get people with psychological problems. You get people with daddy issues, mommy issues, wife issues, husband issues. You get society. And this is why a lot of times people in the car business, they join and they get burned out. And it's not that it's their fault. It's almost designed that way to get you burned out. It's a turnover business. They hire you. They give you a little bit of training. They'll tell you, hey, read up the brochures, product knowledge. That's sales. Yeah, product knowledge helps. And I've also met a lot of salesmen that had no product knowledge that outsold anybody with a ton of product knowledge. So a lot of times people in the car business say, hey, learn about the cars, read the brochures, do your research. But it doesn't always help. I've seen people with product knowledge talk their way out of making deals because they know too much, because they give too many options to the customer, and now the customer's confused. Customer shows up and he's like, I want a Toyota Corolla. What's the difference between a Toyota Corolla and a regular Toyota Corolla, let's say LE, and a sport model Toyota Corolla? And then you have a salesman that thinks he needs to show him all the specs and now confuses the customer because he has too much knowledge. And then the customer now has too many options, and now he really needs to think about it. I've seen it happen too many times. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because I believe a lot of car business people are really good people. And I think that the world, society, should know what kind of people they are. And I believe that they are amazing. They're some of the best, most loyal people I've ever met in my life. Now, I know a lot of you out there might say, hey, car business people are jerks, they're liars, they're scumbags, you've heard all the jokes. And to be honest, I'm sick and tired of hearing it. I'm sick and tired of saying, oh, you're worse than a used car salesman, or you're worse than or those jokes where, what's a good start, like a lawyer and a car salesman at the bottom of the sea. Well, let me tell you, you have no idea. Some of my best friends I've ever had in my life have been people in the car business. And you know why? Because we have an understanding. We've been in battle. Yes, I know. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from the military. God forbid. No, I would never say that. Military veterans, of course, my hat goes out to them, and thank God that we have them. But what I'm saying is that we go out there and we're in battle because that's what it is. Customer shows up and he wants to beat you up. So we have that understanding. We know, hey, this guy, Tim, Jimmy, they've been there and they know what it's like. And it's an understanding that nobody else will understand. It's something that is unique to us. So just like our lingo, our language is unique to us. And it's something that we don't take for granted. So every time, let's say I had a friend 15 years ago, and we worked together for 6 months. Well, guess what? He's my friend forever. And a lot of people out there don't have any idea what that's like, because I know a lot of you went to school with people in high school, we're there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And you're not even friends with them anymore. You don't even remember them anymore. Not in the car business. We're with each other so much, more than our own family. So yes, we remember all our friends, and our friends are very dear to us. So this is why I wanted to do this, because I think car business has had a real bad rap for a long time. And yes, and this is why I'm going to tell you these stories, because it's true. They've had a real shitty track record. But let me tell you some of these insane stories. And I'm sorry if some of them I'm going to cuss, but it's hard not to. Okay. So the year was 1999, and my dad wanted a Toyota Tacoma. I was fresh out of high school, and my dad wanted a TRD fully loaded Tacoma. So he decided to go to a dealership in California, in Southern California, in Alhambra. It was a predominantly Asian dealership. Now, if anybody has ever been to Alhambra, you'll know that that's not fake. It's true. Now, we were at that dealership. We met a real young kid. He must have been my age, he must have been 20, 21 years old. And then he sold my dad the truck. And I was like, whoa, you're working here? I thought that you have to have experience. And he said, no, you don't. He's like, if you want to work here, I can, I'm sure you can get a job here. Now, this young Asian kid, I just thought that he was just a sweet kid, I didn't think anything of it. And we made the deal. My dad was happy. We left. Then we spoke to the finance manager. And the finance manager says, hey, you know what? You look like a sharp kid. You want to come and work here? I said, absolutely. And then he said, do you know how much that salesman made? Now, I have no idea. I had no idea of profit margin. Neither did my father. He was just happy that he had a brand new truck. We weren't thinking, oh, wow, you guys really fucked us over, and that's why you guys made so much money. No. So I had no idea. And he said, I think he made like a little bit over $1,000. It's like $1,100. And I was like, wow, really? So in my little mind, I was thinking, oh my God, if I can do that 10 times a month, that's $10,000. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be working at this dealership. And of course, the guy said, yeah, come and see me. I have a lot of pool. So that's what I did. I showed up, I think 2 days later, in the only little suit that I had. And I interviewed, and basically the general manager said, hey, do you want to sell cars? Do you want to be in my position in 5 years? Do you want to make a lot of money? So I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And he's like, okay, you're hired. He might have just well touched my pulse and say, are you alive? Do you want to work? Do you like breathing? Do you like water? It was ridiculous. It was a stupid interview. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I showed up. And then I showed up the next day and I was happy. I had my same little suit. And then I was like, oh man, I'm going to make all kinds of money. And then when I showed up, he said, hey, let me introduce you to your manager. My manager was this 5-foot Vietnamese man. His name was Quan. And he had the worst teeth you've ever seen. His teeth looked like he was been chewing on rotten wood, underwater. And then he says, hey, you're gonna be, you're gonna sell a lot of cars. We get a lot of Spanish people, blah 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 blah. And it was hard for me to understand what he was saying, but that was the gist of it. And then I noticed that my whole team, I saw their shoes. Now I'm 19 years old. I don't know much, but I do know that my shoes were, I don't know, they were $40, $50 shoes. These guys had shoes that looked like I don't know, like they were completely messed up. Dirty shoes, worn shoes. I mean, shoes that have seen better days. And then I was wondering, how is it that these guys are making all this money and their shoes are all shitty? Okay, well, I found out real fast. My first week that I was there, I was working what they call bell to bell every single day. And I was working, I think I would start around 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was getting home around like 10 o'clock at night. My little shoes were destroyed, and my feet have never hurt so much. I was going on a test drive after test drive after test drive, and I remember thinking, man, I've never felt so tired before. Now, I was an athletic kid. I was in pretty good shape, but I remember just feeling beat. And I'm thinking, okay, well, at least I'm going to get paid. And then I started to notice that the Asians would come and only ask for Asians. They would show up and they would say like, hey, you speak Chinese, Mandarin, Vietnamese, and they only dealt with their kind. And they would take me on test drives, but they wouldn't want to buy a car from me. So I started to notice that it was a pattern. And every time I did want to sell them a car, it was impossible because even though they spoke the language, they didn't want to speak the language. They wanted to talk to somebody that could speak their language. So I had to turn a lot of deals, or I had to get my manager to help me translate, which was a jack-off session. You just sit there and listen to their nonsense. And then if a car was $20,000, they'd offer $11,000, $12,000, $13,000. It was a constant battle every single time. So then I was wondering, how is it that they're making all this money? Like, how do they do it? And then I noticed some of the guys there was a couple of them that they were selling 20 cars, 25 cars. One guy I think he sold 35 cars. And I was like, how did he do that? Well, he was a favorite. The desk managers would go ahead and give him deals. So I guess that's just the way it was. Well, one of the first stories that really tripped me out working there was there was this guy, and let's call him Roy. He was a short little Mexican guy, and everyone would always say, "Oh, he's really good. He's the best. He's a gross monster." Gross means that you make a lot of money on the deal. Like you're on top of your game. Every customer you talk to, you upsell them, and you hold gross. By holding gross means that you don't discount a vehicle. So this guy was supposedly amazing, but he looked nasty to me. His little shirt looked like it had been washed too many times. His shoes were filthy. He just didn't look like what anybody would think success would look like. So then I said, hey, Roy, do you mind if I, learn from you? And he's like, sure, come over here. So after spending maybe a day or two with him, next to him, he would tell me, hey, go grab that up. Up is a customer that shows up, and you're going to talk to him. But all he was doing is he was getting the jacks, the jagoffs, the ones that aren't going to buy, out of the way. So he would tell me, go grab that up, and I would go grab it up. And then I would get caught up for all day while he sat there and cherry picked the best customers. Why? Because That's, he's been there long. He was a 50-year-old, 45, 50-year-old man.